I guess another company that we're seeing that does not care about their brand or what they're doing in terms of AI is Coca-Cola, who has doubled down on using AI to generate their holiday commercial, even after last year's flopped and they received backlash. And one of the things that actually stood out to me was that someone at Coca-Cola was like, people don't actually care about the Coca-Cola commercial. So, like, why should we even like change it? Which I think goes to show a lot about like what you think about your own branding and then also what you think about like the consumer. Because if that is the case, that like your actual target customer like doesn't care, then okay, fine. I guess continue doing, your fake AI like polar bears or whatever. But if like people actually care, then you're make them feel as if like you're not listening to them. And I want to pair this up against the Wallace and Gromit commercial with Barbour, who took 2 years to create this claymation short. And it's getting praised because it's like showing this animation that's handcrafted by humans. And then they also have like a behind the scenes video that they put out with it showing like what goes into it. And I found that behind the scenes thing far more interesting than the commercial itself because like
Yeah.
you get to see like how long it actually takes
Yeah.
to like do the little movements of like, Wallace and
Yeah.
Gromit and showing that like handcrafted animation is actually worth both the time and money that goes into it, but like the effort that you're showing to your consumers saying like,
Mhm.
hey, you're like us. If this is what you care about, come buy from us, right? And I think that that really stood out to me because I think Barbour in general is doing a really good job with not
Yeah.
just these this partnership, but with other partnerships where they're,
Mhm.
Christine and I have been going back and forth with their Farm Rio
Yep.
collaboration that they just announced. And then they did a Levi's one earlier this year. So it's really showing that they're trying to expand their brand by choosing collaborators that make sense for them and their brand and like elevate them in some way. And it's not just a money grab that they're trying to do that's like reducing their, brand equity or cheapening it. Which happens a lot with other companies. So it shows that they like really care. One thing that I wanted to like point out here is that 76% of consumers say they're less likely to engage with AI generated creative content. So I think that that's like something that more and more consumers are actually going to start paying attention to.
Mhm.
And even if Coca-Cola thinks that people are going to continue buying their product, they have more options than ever. And is that really what you want to do? Is just set yourself up to like, lose consumers over your stance on AI? Have you seen the Wallace and Gromit commercial, Christina?
I have. I loved it. I'm a big fan of Wallace and Gromit. I love all of those. I'm also a big Shaun the Sheep fan
Mm,
from when my kids were younger. So like the
yeah.
whole studio is amazing. I love what you're talking about with audiences because I do think that both of them are speaking to their audiences very differently. For anyone who's saying like the audience doesn't care, that's the wrong statement.
Hmm.
I think if we think about like if we talk about Target, like we talked about previously with their boycott, which is honestly been very effective. I need you, if you're listening to this, I want you to Google every product that Coca-Cola actually owns. It is significantly difficult to boycott Coke as a
Hmm.
company, as a conglomerate. They own quite a lot. You can't drink, there's waters you can't drink, there's juices you can't drink. It isn't a I'm going to give up my diet Coke in the AI wars. Like
Hmm.
it's so much more extensive than that. And I think Coca-Cola knows that, whether the audience cares or not. I think it's significantly harder to boycott than it is to, I'm just not gonna go to this store. I live in the southeastern part of the United States, so, like, Coke is what some people call a soda. So that's what we're talking about, is we're talking about, like, a culturally significant brand that is a part of your life. So I don't necessarily think that the audience doesn't care. I think that you're asking the audience to care so much that they purposely avoid a habit because Coca-Cola has, like, the habit loops of habit loops.
Hmm.
And so I think you need to think about that. So my thing once I realized they had announced that Coca-Cola was gonna do their second AI ad,
Hmm.
I looked to see if it was significantly better than last year's. No. I did not see a year's worth of improvement in tech, in my opinion. And I
Yeah.
think you could even just look at the trucks and where like the lighting was around the trucks, you could see that they were different in almost every shot. Like the consistency was non-existent. And so it felt like even if there was any technological advancements, there was no QA. I don't think that says anything about your audience. I think it says a lot about how you feel about your audience.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Barber, I have tons of Barber coats, I love them, and they're gonna last me for the rest of my life because I
Mhm.
take care of them, and then I'm gonna pass them down to my daughter. They all make sense to me, like, I can see the girl walking through the Cotswolds who has the Farm Rio,
Mhm,
and
mhm.
then I can see the guy in Seattle who's now gonna do the Levi's collab, and then he has, like, the corduroy collar. Like, it
Mhm,
just
mhm.
makes so much sense to me. Like, one of the collabs like, I have a wax coat, and mine is with, it's a Liberty collab.
Mm.
So Liberty of London. So, like, the lining and, like, the cuff inner lining is this floral Liberty pattern, and they have, like,
Mhm.
different patterns every year.
Yeah.
But because that feels very me. So it's
Mhm,
like it's
mhm.
a way for Barber to not only offer more ways to have them be in your life, knowing full well that it's an investment, like, they're not cheap, but they're also gonna last, like, as long as you take care of them. But
Yeah.
also there's different collabs for who you are. So there really can be a Barber product for everybody. And then partnering with Wallace and Gromit is such an easy way to get little kids to be like, "I want a jacket like that. I want like, what is that?" Like, it's such an easy way to expand your audience while not betraying who you are. And so, like, I absolutely loved it.
Yeah, one thing actually that's bringing up to me is just putting the 2 brands together. The Barber, the brand itself by partnering with like Wallace and Gromit and how long it takes to make the commercial, how long it takes to make the Barber coats. Just like again, speaking to what we were talking about earlier with Apple, it's just like the craft that goes behind it. It makes me
Yeah,
think that it's built on purpose, built to be long lasting, to last generations, to be generational, and it speaks to the product itself. Whereas
yeah.
with the AI slop and soda and sugar and like all
Mhm.
this, it just makes it seem like, oh, it's just slop. It's AI slop, it's sugar
Yeah,
slop, it's
yeah,
just slop, you know?
yeah.
And
I think
that's
that's a
like
great point.
now, yeah, now it's just kind of embedded in my head that like Barber, by taking care of like partnering with an animator that actually, practices craft and like, puts time and money into it, that's what their brand also stands for.
Mhm.
And now we're seeing what Coca-Cola stands for. So
Yeah.
I think that that's something, as a takeaway from me,
Mhm.
for this section is that, how you're kind of positioning yourself and your brand and your company, really, shows your consumer what you're thinking about and what you value, whether that's craft and your consumer and like how long lasting your product is, or if you just kind of consider it to be, a throwaway, which,
Yep.
soda kind of is. This time is all about consumer brands and
Mhm.
what they're doing, how they're hitting, how they're missing.